Hello, everyone, and welcome to the One and O podcast. I'm Avery Hill.
I'm Lyle Allenstein.
I'm Will Horseman.
On today's episode, we're going to kind of go into some recruiting, and then we'll finish out talking about some running back rankings. We'll start with recruiting. There was a commitment that just happened, but there's a lot that happened in the recruiting round for Penn State this week, guys. What stood out the most to y'all?
I think we start with Peyton Falzone shockingly flipping his commitment to Auburn. Eerily similar to last summer, kind of sort of not really when Alvin Henderson flipped from Penn State to Auburn. Obviously, two completely different circumstances. He kind of reportedly just committed to Penn State to leverage his offer from Auburn, which obviously Auburn's got way more in the bag. But this one's kind of a surprise because Auburn, with Peyton Falzone, he is their seventh total commit in a class that in the 247 composite rankings is like 70th or something. They didn't have a quarterback on board. Obviously, Penn State had has Troy Hune, who committed to Falzone. Um, he, Falzone recently picked up an offer from Auburn within the last month or so. I guess he was like, I don't want to compete. I don't really know. I'm really kind of surprised by that considering how hard he worked to get Penn State to get him on board to take him, considering they originally had him as a tight end. He wanted to play quarterback. He did enough to prove to them that he can, he went to Elite 11. He went to all these camps. So I don't know. I'm kind of surprised by this one.
No, I mean, it's definitely came out of nowhere, but it's like looking at Auburn's class, I can kind of understand why he did that because I think maybe Auburn kind of probably told him like, "Hey, you'll be like our only QB commit this cycle." I mean, with Penn State, com he would have competed with Hun once he gets to campus, and I mean, for Penn State with having Hun who went to the Elite 11 finals, I don't. It's obviously not the best thing to have foul zone flip, but it's like they at least have another quarterback, and I would be interested to see if they maybe go after like guy like Samaj Beals, who's like a PA quarterback. He's kind of a low end 3-star, but it's like maybe if they want to get another quarterback for this class now that Falzone's gone, it's like maybe they start recruiting him harder now. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it was very like I don't think any of us, I'm not sure really who really expected it to happen. I saw it come across my phone, I was like, what? Like, excuse me. But I do think that it is, I think, like to what Lyle said, I think part of it is different from the Alvin Henderson situation. Alvin Henderson went back to the state that he came from. He went back to, he leveraged his offer while at Penn State. There was really no evidence that he truly wanted to go to Penn State at all. Like even if he is transfer portal, I really highly doubt that Alvin Henderson is a Penn State Nittany Lion at some point. I think it's different in that realm, but I also do think that Auburn has done a lot to leverage, whether it's their NIL, things like that, and obviously things are changing to a point with the settlement. But I think as of right now, I think it was a move that he did partly for that chance to compete. You have Troy Hune, you have a load of quarterbacks in the previous classes who will be trying to compete for reps. I think the competition just gets so much easier when you're at Auburn. Auburn really hasn't been able to put itself on the map as it would like to. It tries to compete with Alabama, it hasn't really gotten that chance yet. So I think that it is something that he's done for. I think it's twofold. I think it's partly brand wise, I think he sees himself better at Auburn. I mean, he picked up the offer late and decided to go there. I mean, that was, a last second thing, but I also think the other part of it is like, yeah, he has a better chance to start. Penn State still has Troy Hune, which again, Elite 11 finalist. I mean, he's been a good pocket passer from what I've seen. He's able to use his legs. I've seen some Drew Aller comparisons, not directly, but just in the sense of his skill set, the things he brings to the table. I mean, he's a big guy, 6'5" quarterback, things like that. I mean, there might have just been that, okay, you're going to be here, but there's no guarantee you start. It could be another Bo Bueller situation. Maybe he's avoiding that before it comes. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting to me. Today, obviously, you also had the commitment of Jackson Ford, edge rusher, and he brought another. That brings another in-state guy back. Penn State now is back to 5 guys in the top 10 for Pennsylvania players that are committed to Penn State. I've seen their ranking drop, I think, to 9 now in the overall 2026 class, which is interesting to see. I mean, obviously, there's an impact with losing Peyton Falzone. I mean, what did you guys think? Jackson Ford, how much does that, help Penn State kind of get back up there?
Yeah, this is a good pickup. This is a guy that I have circle on the top of the board, regardless when you look at it. Just their overall board, guys in Pennsylvania doesn't matter. Jackson Ford is a guy they've been interested in since he really kind of took off at Malvern Prep. I know a bunch of the coaching staff has seen him over the course of the spring between his official visits at home, at school, on officials. I remember there was one picture he posted on his X where Deion Barnes, James Franklin, Dan Connor, Terry Smith, like the whole 9 yards, was in attendance to see him. This is a really good player. Obviously, they saw one of their top defensive end target go off the board in Luke Wafel last week to USC. But this is a really high quality guy that they needed to get on that edge because, with Daniel Jennings reclassifying, they didn't have an edge rusher on board. So they kind of needed to see that. And then you kind of look at where the rest of the board falls. You've got Carter Meadows, who's still in the mix, kind of what I understand is a Michigan lean right now, but that recruitment isn't over. And you've got Tyson Harley, who's teammate at Gonzaga, who's I think On3 put in a pick for him to land at Penn State. I think he commits July 5th. So, you look at the losses last week and you look at what they've got going on this week. It's just like it's a roller coaster right now for Penn State fans watching how this recruiting is falling out. But Jackson Ford is a really good player. He plays tight end also. He had the athlete label in the composite rankings up until recently because he's going to be playing on the edge when he goes to college. This guy's also done a lot in the 7-on-7 circuit. So just a really good athlete and a guy that's, got a pretty bright future ahead of him.
I mean, I've looked at a little bit of his film, and it's like his run defense is particularly really well. He can really like get off a block and like just go get the ball carrier really quickly, and like kind of moves laterally pretty down the line of scrimmage pretty quickly. And he's not like the fastest guy. I think his 100-meter time is like 12.4, but it's like he has some good ability to like redirect and like decent acceleration that I think he's a obviously like being a force, he's just a good addition to the class.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of going off of that, I think Penn State it knows what they're getting in Jackson Ford. When you talk about his run defense, one thing like when I was talking to Ty Howell a month ago or so, he kind of talked about just how the benefit of getting guys that come from prep, and you've seen this for a while. Guys that come from prep usually come in more prepared. Obviously, those guys are able to hit the ground running. Those guys are kind of a little more used to what it's like to be in the collegiate scene in terms of workout schedule, things like that. Like nothing completely compares to the collegiate level, but I do think that there are some parallels in that realm, and I think Penn State knows that. Penn State's getting that. I mean, if you look at Malvern Prep as a whole, I mean, they've had plenty of guys that go to the NFL. Obviously, like Carl Nassib, obviously Penn Stater. They have. I'm pretty sure there's a guy in the Hall of Fame. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but they do have a Hall of Famer come out of Malvern Prep. There's obviously plenty of guys that come out of Malvern Prep, so I think it's a good ad for Penn State. I think Penn State knows what they're getting, and getting him in the room with Deion Barnes. I mean, I think that room is just getting deeper and deeper. I think every single year we're kind of talking about how deep the defensive line room is, and as Deion Barnes continues to not just recruit but coach, I think Penn State's in a great position on the defensive line front.
Yeah, I mean, Deion Barnes has been, I don't want to say, I think you could put him 1A, 1B with Ty Howell in terms of where the position coaches have been, producing talent recently for Penn State. But, Deion Barnes played at Penn State. He knows what it's like. Younger coach, the guys kind of really buy into him. And I think, especially when I'm talking about recruiting, you've seen a lot the Philadelphia area, which Penn State hasn't really had more success in, despite, being in state. But you saw Alexander Haskell from Philly, from St. Joe's Prep, obviously getting Jackson Ford. Like, I feel like you're starting to see a swing in the momentum, not necessarily just with the commitments, but guys that are putting them in their finalists, offers going out more quickly, things of that nature.
Yeah, and I think one more guy that we want to kind of touch on this week that committed this week, Pierce Peterson out of Minnesota, 4-star. He's listed as an athlete on the composite rankings, but he's projected to play tight end. Well, I know you did the film review on him. I mean, what did you see in him?
Yeah, first off, he's just a insane athlete. I mean, he played quarterback, linebacker, and safety, and on the football field, he averaged 29 and 13 in basketball. In track, his like he has an 11 second like 100-meter, like also has like a
Oh, me
Everyone's
too.
saying like he is 6'4" in the high jump, but according to Miles Split, he's jumped 6'10", which is actually that is
My
insane.
height. Yep. Got up
Yep.
to my height.
All
Yep.
right.
And then yeah, I mean, as a tight end, I mean, obviously he's gonna at 190, he's gonna need to put on some weight to become if he have sees the field at tight end for Penn State, but it's he has like all the athletic traits needed, but I mean obviously he's gonna probably gonna redshirt freshman year, and it's like he doesn't need to play, but it's like he has plenty of time to like learn everything that like a tight end needs to, and he learned under Ty Howell, and getting like a high school player that played quarterback and switching him into tight end has worked for Penn State before, obviously with Tyler Warren. Luke Reynolds is the same, and Ty Howell has said that Reynolds has made a lot of strides, especially in like blocking since he came to Penn State. And I mean, yeah, I mean, this is Peterson is a high upside play. It's like he's gonna need to develop, but if it all works well, it's like Penn State could have just gotten another really good tight end for their room that's been on a hot streak for the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, this is a win for Penn State. They got him late, on him late, offered him in the cycle, late in the cycle. I think this was only his second time on campus, but he narrowed his finalists down of Penn State and Minnesota. He's from Minnesota, who obviously, when you compare the programs, it's like, yeah, in theory, this should be an easy recruiting win for Penn State based on just the caliber of programs that they both are. But PJ Fleck does a really good job recruiting in state, regardless of how his program actually does on the football field. You just saw Roman Voss, who's the top player in Minnesota, picked him Minnesota the Gophers over Alabama. So you got winning a recruiting battle over
I'm
Alabama
not
doesn't
sure
usually
how he
mean
did that.
not
I'm
sure how.
just going to say that I'm not sure how he did that. I mean, I guess Minnesota guy, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how long how long that lasts.
Yeah, but that's a win for Penn State. I think it's easy to take a tight end this cycle just because in 2025 they took Brian Corvish, Andrew Olish, and Matt Henderson. But I think that just says a lot with the reputation that what Penn State does with tight ends and what Ty Howell's doing, because there's no easy path to playing time here when you got three guys in the class ahead of you. But that's a win. He's a great athlete. Gonna probably have to get in the lab with Chuck Losey, and but Penn State, they've taken these freak athletes out of high school and molded them into football players, and that's probably what the blueprint is for him.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, I'm seeing the same scenario play over and over again. You're getting a guy high upside. I mean, in general, if you're getting a basketball guy and he's playing tight end. Unless he's a guard, like he's playing tight end. Like those power forwards, he's playing tight end. Antonio Gates, like you can look through a whole list of guys that have played power forward in high school, turned to basketball players. I don't remember what position Tyler Warren played, but it was power something clearly. I think that Penn State is very happy with that addition. Again, you talk about him being not just a multi-sport athlete, but multi-positional athlete. I mean, he can be a quarterback, he can be a receiver. I don't know about on the collegiate level, but at least on the high school level, he has experience in all phases of football. With all that experience, I mean, I think that the upside is there. I mean, I don't want to call him Tyler Warren because I don't think that you can just throw that out there. I think that's like way beyond. But I do think in terms of trajectory, in terms of path, that there are parallels in that realm. I mean, I think coming on, getting there, he won't be high in the depth chart immediately, but he does have that chance to compete. He has a chance to work. And by that senior year or, junior year, wherever that may be, he can become maybe not the Tyler Warrens of the world, but close to maybe the Theo Johnsons of the world. I mean, maybe the Brenton Strangers of the world. I mean, that's just the mood of or the mode of the Penn State tight end room is, I mean, get in, work. I mean, Luke Reynolds is off to a good head start, but not a lot of guys get that opportunity. So I think it'll just be interesting to see how he's able to pan out once he gets to Penn State. And I want to kind of move on to our last topic. I think last week, Pro Football Focus released their draft rankings for next year, specifically for running backs. Trevor Sikkema had his rankings, and so you have Jeremiah Love at the top, Nick Singleton at number three, Katron Allen at number eight. I'll spotlight a couple other ones. Jonah Coleman at number four from Washington, Jaden Ott at Oklahoma at number two from Oklahoma. Guys, I mean, what stood out the most to y'all? Do y'all think that Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen are ranked fairly?
Uh, Nick Singleton, yes. I mean, to me personally, I think I look at the two best backfields in the country in a little throwback to the Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State, with Penn State obviously having Singleton and Katron, and Notre Dame having Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I honestly don't understand not putting Jadarian Price on this list. I think it's the same kind of conversation you have with Penn State. And I think Katron gets slightly, I think it's just slightly disrespected. I think he's a closer running back to the caliber player that Nick Singleton is than, some of these other guys. And I think Nick Singleton's the best running back in college football. I think him, Jeremiah Love are 1 and 2. Like, I'm not gonna, but it's a 1A, 1B with Singleton and Kayshawn. It's not like they're two remotely different players. They're both could go over 1,000 yards this year, and both go 1-2 in the Penn State all-time rushing total yards. So I don't know. There's that. I think also with this list, I feel like I'm a Jamal Haynes guy from Georgia Tech. I think that's another guy you got to throw on here. Pretty good running back. I think that Jaden Ott is a lot of buzz considering his transfer from Cal, but I just don't believe in Oklahoma as a football team. So maybe this is where my opinion is, not really valid. But there's that. I don't know. It's an interesting list. It's so hard to judge these things so far removed from the season, but that's just where I stand right now.
I mean, yeah, I think Jaden not. I mean, he's a really good running back, but I feel like it should be Jeremiah Love and Nick Singleton, like one or two in either order. I feel like it's like preference. It's like, I mean, it really is like 1A, 1B, and I'd say Katron. I understand it's like Nick Singleton. He gets like more like buzz because he's probably the better NFL draft pick, and he makes like more like splash plays, like but I feel Katron is just always probably the most underrated running back on this list. I feel like as he should be a little bit closer to Singleton, but I mean, uh, but yeah, it is kind of like it's like all these running backs are like really good, and it's like you feel like it's just pick your poison, like who you like more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think kind of looking at the board, I think again, like you guys said, I think I would put Jeremiah Love, Nick Singleton. You can argue that 1A, 1B thing. I think I'm picking Nick Singleton because of the like Jeremiah Love last year. I guess it's kind of recency bias, but he did get injured. I mean, it was very clear. With his knee. I mean, he tried to play through it. I mean, he did beforehand or while he was injured. He did run that 98-yard touchdown, but he did end up re-aggravating after that. So I think that is something to take into consideration. Not just next year, but heading into the draft. I mean, these are mostly for draft rankings and stuff like that. So like Jeremiah Love, that's going to be something that pops up. They're like, okay, how's his knee doing? I mean, Nick Singleton to this point has done pretty well with being available. Like he battled through injury last year, but when he came back, he was strong. He hit stride. I think when you talk about bringing explosive plays, being effective, not just in the run game, but in the pass game, not just as a receiver, but as a blocker. I mean, Nick Singleton does it all. As for K'Charon Allen, again, I also think that he is being underrated, and I don't really see that changing, but I just think that's because of the type of back he is. I mean, I think 10 years ago, everyone would be calling him like the next Adrian Peterson or something like that. Like they would, baby bust, like things like that, like Jerome Bettis, like the list will go on and on. I mean, if you want to bounce it all the way back to the past, you want to go Earl Campbell, like however you want to do it. I think
Wow. What a pull.
Gotta love it. Gotta love Earl Campbell. But I mean, I just think that Katron Allen is one of those guys that just isn't going to get that love just because of the games he's playing in now. But I also think that comes from a skewed perception from the national media. I think a lot of what the national media sometimes sees is kind of a few plays, the big plays, but they don't see everything. I mean, I think coming into his career, I think it's safe to say that Katron Allen's just the guy that you want to get run over a few guys, get some more yards, things like that. Like he's going to get those yards after contact. He's going to be a threat in the red zone in the run game, but I think he's developed into more than that. I don't think he's as good of a receiver as Nick Singleton, but I've seen him make strides. I think as a runner, he's also shown the ability to not just make big plays, but to be on the field for a long time. I mean, in terms of statistics, he's been the lead back for a long time because of his just his ability to withstand blows, his ability to get back out there every play. Like they split carries, but Katron Allen takes a big chunk of carries. I don't know the exact number, but Nick Singleton probably averaged around 10 to 14 carries a game, like if that. Like, and again, obviously injury is a factor, but I do think that Katron Allen's stamina, his ability to stay in the game is something that's really big because at the end of the day, run game opens up late. If you're at carry 21 and let's talk about it like a stamina bar. Your stamina bar is like this is the full thing. Katron Allen's right here. He's good. He's chilling. He's chilling. Some other running backs, they might be right here at carry 21. By carry 30, they start fumbling. At least that's what they taught me in college football 25. I don't know, but they start fumbling at that point. So yeah, I think Katron Allen's going to be a little underrated, but I think it'll be interesting to see kind of headed into the draft how he'll be rated because I think he's one of those guys that feel like they're those late round guys that are like obvious picks. They're obviously going to do something. They're obviously going to make an impact, but nobody's picking them in the early round for whatever reason. I see that happening to Katron Allen. I personally think he's a third to fourth round type of guy, but we'll see where he's ranked when the NFL draft comes. Well, that's all we have for today. For more coverage, visit us at psucollegian.com and follow us on socials. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.